Welcome to our podcast, Learn Biblical Greek, brought to you by Dr. William Stewart, the co-founder of Teleios. This captivating podcast teaches you biblical Greek through a verse-by-verse study of the book of Ephesians, interjecting Greek grammar, Greek word meanings, and vital theology concepts. Thanks for joining us on this exciting biblical journey. Your study will be more effective if you use the Greek text with the Bible word codes, either on the eSword download or Bible Hub website. These links are on our podcast website at www.teleiosresearch.com.
Hi, I'm William Stewart, co-founder of Teleios. Welcome back to our podcast on learning biblical Greek. We're having fun learning Greek, being persistent, patient, and we're going right through Scripture where we see the most important lessons over and over again. Hopefully this will drill the grammar and the words into your thinking where it becomes second nature, but it does take some time. But there's a lot of fruit at the end we can be more competent in knowing Scripture and thus knowing God through its original language. We're in the great epistles of Ephesians, which tells us so much about Christ, salvation and his ministry, and our Christian lifestyle. We're just beginning the Christian lifestyle section. In chapter 4, going through a list of negative commands and characteristics. Let's go to the text, the Greek text, verse 19. Etenis, which I don't think we've discussed before. This is a compound relative pronoun. So remember, the conjunctions are very important in Greek, linking thoughts because there's no punctuation, just like Latin or Hebrew. So it's a compound of O and TIS. And it means whatever, whoever, whichever as the case may be. Interestingly, both of these separate subwords are declined separately from the or to make that they make up the word. So you have two declensions in one word. So oetus here, the oi, of course, you recognize as the nominative masculine plural, and that's in a second declension, declension, excuse me. And then the NES is third declension, masculine plural, nominative, the ES ending. Tricky, huh? So whatever, whichever, you decline the first word as a second declension, second word as the third declension. So for instance, the dative would be otini. So the first word would be an omega, like the dative masculine singular. And then the second word, ni, would also be the dative in the third declension. Otini would be to whoever or to whichever. So so be aware of this word. It's an important conjunction. It occurs about 150 times in Scripture. Another hard word only occurs here. It means past. It's a verb. It means past feelings, so like losing perhaps sensation for somebody and somebody's feelings. Let's go through it. Apo is the prefix. Algeo is the root alge, A-L-G-E. But you see that there's a lengthening of the A to an eta, which is the augment. So remember when a word starts with alpha and has augment, meaning the past tense indicative, it lengthens to an eta. Then you'll see where the E also lengthens before the tense formative, which is K in this case. And that just happens to a number of Greek verbs. So just be aware. Functionally and interpretation, it doesn't mean anything, but just knowing grammar, it means something if you're interested. Then we have the K, that's the tense formative. The K, as you know, is usually the tense formative of the perfect tense. As we say in English, I have done something. So then we have the OT. That is the morpheme for the perfect participles in the oblique cases, otherwise non-nominative cases, excuse me. ES, of course, is the third declension ending for the plural masculine nominative. So having been past feeling themselves, the OUS ialptos, the OUS ending is the accusative plural masculine, and himself, herself, yourselves. Paradokan. So here we have another verb. Let's work through it. Para is the prefix. E is the augment. The O is the root word. Now this is a didymi word, a my ending. So remember, in the non-present tense, you lose the repetitive consonant at the front, and oftentimes at least with didymi, you may have lengthening of the O, the DO, to an omega, as we see here. So then we have K, A. Now, generally you would think of perfect, but remember there's several verbs that use, and some of them are quite common: didymi, tethemi, aphemiv, to forgive, tethemi, to give, or to take, didymi, to give, that take a Ka aorist. Okay, so they're unique. So this is a Ka aorist. You just need to memorize that. We see these words commonly. N then tells you it's a third person. So if it's an en in the aorist, it'll be a singular, but a plural in the an for the third person. So gave, they gave. T, asalagia. So here we have a short word, ends with an eta, a T on the front, so you think of an oblique case, non-nominative, and that would be dative. It matches the ending on the word for sort of non-honest, non-serious, licentious, wantonness sort of person, matches the A on the end of here as a dative. Is, preposition, into, going towards, so it's always taking the accusative, and the ergosanian, so that alpha n ending tells you it is a accusative singular feminine. And then ekathosia, uncleanliness, that as tells you it's a genitive feminine singular, into a work of uncleanliness. And then as, acting as an adjective, going after the noun, which is typical in Greek, probably about 60% of the time. It goes after instead of in the front. That as would be describing all uncleanliness. And again, in the genitive singular. In, that ever-present preposition, translated in, meaning on, at, by means of, pleonesia, greediness, avarice, again, taking the dative, so you see that A ending. So as a reminder, if you had the markings for the grammar, such as accent marks, this would be a subscript iota. So it's really AI, that I ending for the dative, as typical as you would see in third declension endings, but it contracts in first and second declension endings where the root word ends in a vowel. Typically, it contracts to the subscript iota, and not seen in this text because there is no markings, at least the one I have. Okay, some difficult words there. Who being past feeling have given themselves over to licentiousness, to work of all uncleanliness with greediness. So says the King James. Okay, so we'll continue with verse 20 next time. Thanks for joining me. I hope this is helpful. Hang in there. It'd be my pleasure to teach you on the next video.